This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, is it audible to everyone? Okay. Yeah, yeah. I'm having some problem in the meeting. Okay, so in case if it gets disconnected, I'll continue on Monday. Okay, so I'm having issue from my end only. So in case if it gets disconnected, I'll continue on Monday. Okay, right. Okay, right. So we have seen the basics part. There are some more things I need to discuss in the basic things. So if you take our selection screen, okay, so we know that selection screen is used for what? Reading what? User input. Okay, so related to the selection screen, we have seen different screen elements. Like we have checkbox, we have seen checkboxes, we have seen what? Radio buttons. Okay, and we have seen how to design push buttons. Okay, and we have seen how to design block, begin of block and what? End of block. Okay, so they are the different things we have seen. Okay, so today let me just quickly cover, as the time is already half an hour is passed off. Okay, so I'll discuss one a new topic. I'll start from Monday. Okay, so today I'll discuss about a concept called a selection screen tabbed block. Okay, selection screen tabbed block. Okay, already we have seen block, it's a simple block. Now we are going to discuss what tabbed block. So what exactly is this tabbed block means? A tabbed block is a collection of what? Tab buttons. A tabbed block is a collection of tab buttons. Means suppose if I go to some T code, so in our, if I go to some what SC11, don't worry about this, we'll discuss that later on. I'll just give some table name. Okay, I'll just give some table name. I gave it as K11. So a tabbed block is nothing but collection of a tab button. So you can see this is nothing but called as tabbed block. Okay, so we have different tabs here. If I click on this tab, I'm getting the screen. If I click on this tab, I'm getting another screen. This screen we call it as what? Subscreen. Okay, so I repeat, a selection screen tabbed block is a collection of what? Tab buttons. Okay, each tab is associated with what? A subscreen. Each tab is associated with a subscreen. Okay, so I want the requirement something like this. So assume that this is your selection screen. Okay, so on this selection screen, okay, I just want to take one tabbed block. So assume this is a tabbed block, and in this tabbed block I want some two tab buttons. Okay, assume that this is something, I want to give the text as something addition, just a simple tab. Then here I want to take another tab like something welcome message. So each tab is what? Each tab is a what? Associated with what? A subscreen. So under this tab, okay, I need to take one subscreen, and as part of the second tab also I need to take out another subscreen. Okay, so this is my subscreen 1. Okay, and this is your subscreen 2. Okay, subscreen means what? As a name itself suggests, subscreen is nothing but a part of a screen. So what is the overall requirement? My tabbed block should contain what? Two tab buttons, and each tab should have what? Its own subscreen. Okay, so this is nothing but the tabbed block. So in this case, I want two tab buttons. So here what we are going to learn is how to design the tab block with the tab buttons, and how to design the subscreens, and how to associate the subscreens with the tab buttons. Okay, and this subscreens can contain what? Any element. Suppose here I'll take simple what? Some two input fields I'll take, or some three input fields, something like this. Okay, I want some text kind of thing here, like I'll take what first number, then here let me take it as what second number, then this I'll take it as what addition. Okay, then here I'll take the push buttons. Let me take it as addition. So let me take it as only one push button. Then here in the second subscreen, I just want to what display some text. Welcome to second subscreen. Okay, so here I as part of the subscreen I can what associate any of the elements. Okay, so here I'm associating the input fields. As part of the second tab button, I'm associating some text. Okay, so let's see how to design the tabbed block. So when do we go for tabbed block? Instead of placing all the elements, instead of placing all the elements in a single screen, we can logically separate the fields. Assume that this tab will show me the employee data, this tab will show me the department data, another tab will show me the customer data. So when you want to segregate the logically related fields, instead of placing them, I can place them in single screen also, but what happened, the length of the screen will increase, the user needs to scroll. So instead of providing that scroll bars, all those things, what we'll do is as part of the single screen only, we'll associate what multiple subscreens. Okay, and each subscreen will have some logically related fields. Right, so let's see how to design this selection screen tabbed block. Okay, so this is nothing but a tabbed block kind of thing. So let me go back. So I'll go to ABAP editor SC38. Right, I'll give the object name as Z what 645 18. Yeah, selection screen tabbed block. I'll choose the type of program as what executable program. Let me save it in the local object. Done. So somewhere 3-4 days back, we have seen how to design a simple block. Okay, so how the simple block will look. This is nothing but a simple block. Okay, but I want a tabbed block. So for that, we have to use the statement selection screen. Try to understand begin of what tabbed block. Okay, selection screen begin of tabbed block, begin of tabbed block. For the tabbed block, you have to give some name. Every element on the screen should have what some name. So I'll give the name as something tb1. You can give any name. Selection screen begin of tabbed block, then I'll say for some 5 lines. So I'll tell you what is the meaning of this 5 lines. 5 lines means the height of each subscreen, the height of each subscreen is how many lines? 5 lines. That is the meaning of what? 5 lines. Okay, something like this. Okay, right. So I give 5 lines. Then you need to close the block. So I'll say selection screen end of block. What is the block name? TB1. So when you are beginning, you have to say tabbed block. When you are closing, simply you have to say what? End of block. What is the name of the tabbed block? TB1 is the name of the tabbed block. Okay, let me save it. Check for the syntax error. No errors. Activate. So I have just designed the tabbed block, but my tabbed block doesn't have any tab buttons. Tabbed block is a collection of tab buttons. Okay, but I don't have any tab buttons. Let's see what happens when I execute this. When I say F8, I'm trying to execute that. Good. I got a runtime error. I got a runtime error. What is the runtime error I got? Load program not found. Load program not found. It is saying program so and so is not found. So can anyone tell me why I got this runtime error? Why I got this runtime error? Anyone? It is giving an error saying that load program not found. So if you scroll down, if you see the error analysis also, on account of a branch in the program, okay, a program should be loaded. program so and so is not in the library, however. Okay, so can anyone tell me what is the problem, why we are getting the runtime error? What is the analysis? Yes, anyone? Anyone? Jason, Nilima, Partha? Sorry?
Normally you declare something, right? Some parameters or some data type.
Okay, but how does it matter here? See, simple understanding. What you are trying to do on the selection screen, you are trying to design a tabbed block. Okay, tabbed block should contain what? Tab buttons. Okay, for example, let me open another session. Just observe here. Okay, I'll go to a T code called as SC11. Try to understand. I'll go to a T code called as SC11 above dictionary. Here I'll provide some table name. Let me give the table name as something VBAK. Some table name VBAK. I'll click on display. Yeah, so you can observe here, I got a screen in which we are having the tabbed block. By default, which tab is active here? Fields tab is active. Understood? The moment the screen is loaded, by default, Fields tab is active, and that active tab is associated with what? A subscreen. Is associated with a subscreen. Similarly, let me go back. I'll just give another structure called as screen structure. Okay, I'll give another structure called a screen structure. Let me display. Yeah, here also you can see, observe here, I got a screen where we have the tabbed block. Which tab is active here? Components tab is active. So what is the understanding? Whenever you are trying to load a screen which contains tabbed block, that particular screen should contain one default tab button. Understood? So I repeat once again. Okay, in one of the T code SC11, if I give any table name, suppose if I give LFA1 as a table name, okay, I'll click on display. Yeah, what is the tab which is active by default? Fields tab is active by default. Okay, similarly, let me go back. I'll give something screen here. Okay, if I display this again, what is the tab active? Component. So what is the understanding? Whenever you are loading a screen which contains what? Tabbed block, you have to make one of the tab as what? Active tab. It can be first tab or second tab or third tab, whatever it is. And that active tab should be associated with what? A subscreen. And that subscreen we have to design it in a program. That subscreen we have to design it in a program. But in our context, if you observe, we are designing the tabbed block which doesn't have any tab button, so it is unable to understand which tab it has to activate by default. It is unable to understand which subscreen should be associated with that particular tab. It is unable to understand in which program that particular subscreen is available. That's why we are getting the runtime error. So what is the understanding? Whenever you are trying to load a screen containing tabbed block, one of the tab should be made what? Active. And that active tab should be associated, should be linked with a subscreen, and that subscreen should be designed in a program. It can be in the current program or it can be in some external program. So in this case, since we don't have any tab button, since SAP is unable to understand which tab should be active by default, it is giving what? Runtime error. So what is our agenda now? I need to design what? Two tab buttons. Somewhere in the last week, I believe, we have seen how to design push buttons. Push buttons, what is the difference between a push button and a tab button? Tab button always sits on tabbed block. This is nothing but tab button. Whereas push button means this is called as what? Push button. Push button directly sits on the screen, whereas tab button is a part of a tabbed block. So here I'll say, let me design two tabs. Selection screen. If you want to design the push button, we use the keyword what? Push button. Now I want the tab button. So I'll say tab as something 15. Okay, tab of something 15. I'll give the name of the tab button as what? T1. The name of the tab button is T1, and we know about what function codes. Last week we have seen we have a concept called as function code. So for each of these tab buttons, we have two tab buttons. I need to associate some function code. What is the purpose of function code? It can be used to identify which element was interacted in the runtime. So how do we associate the function code? We need to use addition called as what? User command followed by some name. Okay, so let me check whether I'll get any errors. I'll give space here. Done. Understood? If I don't give space, okay, when I save it, when I'm trying to do the syntax check, I got an error. Okay, it is saying what? Tab space val is expected, not tab of what? 15. So I need to give some space, it seems. Let me give space. So save it, check it, no errors. Done. Similarly, let me design one more tab button. So I'll say in the same tab block, I'll design one more tab button. Let me give the name of the tab button as what? T2, and I'll give the function code as what? FC2. Done. So we have designed what? Two tab buttons. The names of the tab buttons are T1 and T2, and the function codes are what? FC1 and what? FC2. So now again, when I try to execute this, let's see what happens. So now what we are doing, we are designing two tab buttons, but we are not telling which tab is active, and we are not telling what subscreen should be linked with what tab. So we are not providing that information. So let me try to execute. I'll say F8. Good. I got the similar error. What? Load program not found. It is unable to understand from which program it has to load that particular subscreen. Okay. So what I need to do now, in order to avoid that runtime error, okay, we have designed two tab buttons. Since we have two tab buttons, we require what? Two subscreens. Okay, if I'm having 10 tab buttons, I require what? 10 subscreens. So now we need to focus on what? How to design the subscreen. So after closing the block here, let me design a subscreen. Selection screen, begin of screen. So already we know selection screen number is always what? 1000. Na? Selection screen number, whenever I use parameter statement, it will generate the selection screen. That selection screen will always have the number as what? 1000. Okay, so when you are designing the subscreens, this subscreens also should have what? Some numbers. Every screen should have what? Some number. Assume that I'll give the subscreen 1 number as 100. I'll give the subscreen 2 number as what? Something what? 200. Okay, so here I'll say selection screen, begin of screen. I have to give the screen number 100. Any number between what? 1 to 9999, except 1000. You can take other numbers, because 1000 is reserved for what? Selection screen. So selection screen, begin of screen 100. Okay, as what? As a subscreen. This is a syntax for designing the subscreen. Then I'll say selection screen, end of screen what? 100. Done. So what is the subscreen number? 100 is the subscreen number. Okay, done. And if you take this one here, what I want here, I want overall how many lines? Some 4 lines here. Okay, the first line should have one label and one input field. Again, label and input field, label and input field, and I should have one button or two buttons. Okay, so what I'll do is, as part of my second subscreen, already we know how to construct lines. Selection screen, begin of line. Okay, here also I'll say selection screen, end of line. Okay, selection screen, begin of line, and what? End of line. Okay, otherwise let us not go for these things. Here also I just want to display some message. Okay, I want to give some title, so I want something like this. Just observe, I don't want all these things. Let us make it very simple. Any of you know how to design the push buttons, all those things. So here, one second please. Yeah, so what I want is, I just want to display what? Some static text I want to display. So here I want to give the names of this, labels of this tab buttons as, I want to give the names of this tab buttons as tab 1, and here I want to give the name label as what, tab 2. Here I just want to give a message, welcome to what subscreen 1. Here also I want to give one static message, welcome to what subscreen 2. So this is my simple requirements. Let us not focus on the input fields, all those things. Anyhow, we know all these things. Done. So in my first subscreen I want some static message. So how do we design the text? Already we know, selection screen, comment. Okay, from where you want to start this label? Comment in the sense label. I want to start from 8th position. Done. I'm how many spaces you want to reserve for that label? I'll give something 30, and that variable should have some name. I'll give the name as what, lb1. Okay, so as part of my subscreen 100, I'm designing only one element. What is that element? Comment in nothing but what, label. Okay, what is this 8 of 30 indicates? From the left hand side of the screen, starting from the 8th position, reserve how many spaces? 30 spaces. Whatever we enclose in this parenthesis is nothing but the width, and this indicates the starting position. And what is the name of that comment variable? lb1. You can give any name. Done. Let me design another subscreen. So I'll say, yeah, selection screen. I'll give the subscreen second subscreen number as what, 200. Here also I want a comment kind of thing, only 8 of 30. I'll give the variable name as lb2, and end of screen 200. Done. So I repeat, I have designed a tabbed block. What is the name of the tabbed block? TB1. And that tabbed block contains two tab buttons. What are the names of the tab buttons? T1 and T2. What is the function codes? FC1 and what, FC2. So since we have two tab buttons, I require two subscreens. How do we design the selections in subscreen? This is the syntax. Selection screen, begin of screen, some number as a subscreen. Between begin of screen and end of screen, I can create any of the elements. I can create checkboxes, radio buttons, push buttons, input fields, whatever the elements you want, you can design. I am going for some label, comment. So how do you design the comment? You have to provide the position and the width and some variable name. Similarly, I am doing it for what, second subscreen also, that is 200. Done. But as of now, we have not associated these subscreens with our tab buttons. I have not linked these subscreens with the tab button. So when I execute, let's see what happens. Good. Again, I got the same error, runtime error. Okay, why we are getting the error? Because we are not instructed which subscreen should be associated with which tab, and we have not instructed which tab should be active by default. That is the reason still it is giving the runtime error. So what is the next job now? I have to make one of the tab as what, active tab. Means whenever my selection screen is displayed, either you have to make tab 1 as a default active tab, or tab 2 as what, active tab. So I, in this case, in this example, I want to make second tab as what, active. Means the moment the selection screen is displayed, second tab should be active. So let's see how to do it. So how do we achieve that functionality? Already again refer to the previous classes. Okay, we have a event called as what, initialization event. Okay, whenever a selection screen is about to display, the first event triggered is what, initialization event. Okay, when do we handle the initialization event? If you want to perform any default activity, that default activity you'll do it as part of what, initialization event. So where do we handle the events? At the end of the program. So here I'll say initialization. Understood? Why I'm handling this event? Because I know that this is the first event raised by SAP, first event triggered by SAP whenever a selection screen is about to load. As part of this event, we can perform the default activities. So what is the default activity I want to perform? I want to make second tab to be active. Okay, right. So these tabs, these tab buttons are part of tabbed block now. What is the name of the tabbed block? TB1 is the name of the tabbed block. TB1 is the name of the tabbed block. So what I have to do is, as part of tabbed block has got some properties. Tabbed block has got some properties. So I'll say TB1, nothing but name of the tab block, hyphen. There's a property called as active tab. Understood? So why I'm saying TB1 hyphen active tab? because active tab is a property of tabbed block. Since it is a property of the tabbed block, I need to refer to that property with the name of the tabbed blocks. Okay, tb1 active tab equal to which tab you want to activate by default. Second tab I want to activate by default. Second tab I want to activate by default. What is the function code I gave for second tab? fc2 is the function code. So here I will say what? fc2. You have to give this function code in uppercase. Even though you have designed this in lowercase, when I'm associating, you have to give it in what? Uppercase. So save it, check it, done. Okay, you are making the second tab as what? Active. So this active tab should be associated with the subscreen. This active tab should be associated with the subscreen. Which subscreen you want to associate here? Second subscreen. What is my second subscreen number? 200. So again, for a tabbed block, we have one property called as dynr, which is going to hold the screen number. Okay, which screen you want to associate? 200. Okay, done. Then tb1 hyphen, we have to tell SAP in which program this particular 200 subscreen is designed. So there is another property for tabbed block called as what? prog. All these three are what? Properties of tabbed block. Equal to this 200 is designed, this 200 is available in which program? Current program. What is that program? Z645 program 18. So here I'll say in single quotes in uppercase, you have to give like this. Okay, understood? I can refer like this, or anyhow we are referring to the current program. When you are referring to the current program, we have one system field called as scirepid, which refers to what? Current program. Scirepid refers to what? Current program. As part of ABAP programming language, we have some system fields. System fields means the fields which are predefined. The values for those fields will be given by what? SAP itself. So scirepid will hold what? Current program name. So instead of hard coding the program name, I can refer to the system field. Done. Let me save it, check it, activate this. When I execute, let's see what happens. Good. I don't have any runtime error. You can observe now which tab is active by default here. Second tab is active. I want some labels for that now. What are the labels I want? Tab 1 and tab 2. So what are the names of the tab buttons? T1 and what? T2. So in the initialization event only, I'll say T1 is equal to any text, whatever you want, you give it. Then T2 is equal to what? What? Tab 2. Okay, let me save it, check for the syntax, done. When I execute, yes, I got the tabs. Okay, but you can see second tab is in the subscreen 200. I don't cursor is blinking here because in the subscreen 200 we have designed one label now, starting from 8th position. We are reserving how many spaces? 30 spaces. That's why this is blinking. So how do we associate the text? What is the label variable name I give? LB2. So same thing. Okay, I'll say LB1 is equal to what? Welcome to what? Something. Welcome to subscreen 1, and LB2 is equal to, I'll say welcome to what? Subscreen 2. Done. Let me check it now. When I execute, yes, which one is active by default? Second one is active by default, and that active tab is associated with the what? Subscreen 200. How it is associated? Because in the initialization event we have instructed that. Okay, you make the second tab as active. What is this function code of the second tab? And which subscreen should be associated? Second subscreen, that is 200. And we have to tell SAP in which program this 200 is available. So I gave it as what? Program equal to scirepid, which refers to what? Current program. I can say like this. Okay, or I can say like this, Z645 program 18. Let me check what happens here. I hope you will not get any error. I'll get the same thing. Done. Suppose I'll give it as 19 here. So what I'm telling SAP, I'm telling SAP that you activate the second tab and associate this subscreen 200, which is designed in the program 19. Program 19 itself is not available. So obviously I should get some runtime error. Let me check what is the runtime error I'll get when I execute. Good. I got a runtime error. What is that? Load program not found. What is that? Program so and so 19 is not found. Oh, it's clear to everyone. Okay, What you can do is you can design that program and design that subscreen. But at this stage, we don't have that. So I'll give what 18 only. Or I can refer to the system field. Done. So we have made second tab as what? Active tab. Now if I click on this, what should happen? If I click on this, this tab should be made active and I have to associate what? Subscreen 1. So let me click on this. As of now, nothing is happening. Okay, it is activating, but I am not associate. I am unable to associate the subscreen one. So already we know whenever we click on the push buttons, what is the event triggered at selection screen. Similarly, whenever the user selects a tab buttons on the selection screen, SAP will trigger what event at selection screen event. So I need to handle what at selection screen event. Please refer to the last week sessions. Okay, at selection screen is the event triggered whenever the user clicks on what tab buttons or push buttons, right? So how do we identify the selected button? How do you identify the interacted button? For these two tab buttons, what is the function code I have attached? FC1 and what? FC2. Already we know this function codes, these function codes will go and sit in the system field what? SciUCOM. So I'll say case what? SciUCOM. What is this? When FC1 do so and so, when FC2 do so and so. End for case is what? End case. End for case is end case. So what is the logic I have to write here? When FC1 means if the user clicks on the first tab button, what is the function code of the first tab button? FC1. Na? Okay, this FC1 will be stored in the system field called as what? SciUCOM. Okay, so I'm comparing with that. So what I have to do, if the user clicks on the first tab button, I have to activate the tab. Now, how do we activate? Again, TB1-active tab equal to what? FC1. Okay, and which screen you have to associate? 100. So dynr equal to what? 100. And where is this screen 100 is available? In the same program. No? So I'll just say what? Sci rep id. Again, if the user clicks on the second tab button, what happens? When FC2, same thing. What is this? Active tab equal to FC2. What is the subscreen number? 200, which is available in the current program. No error. So what is the main thing you have to understand is whenever the user clicks on the tab buttons on the selection screen tabbed block, what is the event triggered? At selection screen is the event triggered. So when I execute this, see now, this is my tab 2. I'll click on tab 1. Yes, I got what? Welcome to subscreen 1. Again, I'll click on tab 2. I got it. I'll click on tab 1. Yes, I got. Understood? Let me try to debug this quickly. So in my program, how many events I've handled? 2 events I've handled. Initialization event and what? At selection screen event. Let me put the breakpoints for both the events. I'll put the cursor here. I'll put the cursor on the application toolbar. We have what? Set session breakpoint. So I'll put the cursor. I'm setting the breakpoint in the initialization event. I'll also put the breakpoint in what? At selection screen event. So I gave 2 breakpoints. So the moment you start the execution now, when I say F8 now, what is the first event triggered? Initialization is the event triggered. Means the control should stop in what? Initialization event. So I'll say F8. Done. Good. You can see here. I gave breakpoints in both initialization event as well as what? At selection screen event. But where it is stopping? Initialization. Because before showing the selection screen to the user, what is the event triggered by SAP? First event triggered initialization. So what logic we wrote in the initialization event? We are trying to activate the second tab by default associated with the subscreen 200, which is available in the current program. Okay. So if you want to debug here, you have to press F5, or if you want to come out of that, I'll say F8. Done. Okay. So before showing the selection screen to the user, what is the event triggered? Initialization event. Done. Now in the runtime, this is nothing but runtime now. I'll click on this tab 1. So whenever I click on the tab button on the tabbed block, what is the event triggered? At selection screen. And what happens? The function code of this interacted button will be captured in the system field what? SciUCOM. Understood? Whenever I click on the tab button, SAP will raise the event called as what? At selection screen, and the function code of that interacted button will be captured in the system field what SciUCom. So let me click on this. Is it stopping there? Let me click. Good, it is stopping where? At selection screen event. I clicked on which button? First tab button. What is the function code I gave in my program for that first tab button? FC1. That FC1 will go and sit in what system field? SciUCom. So when I double click on this, what is the value of SciUCom? FC1. It is always captured in uppercase. In your program while designing, even if you give it in lowercase, in the runtime when it is captured in the system field, you must give it in what? Uppercase only. Okay, you have to compare with what? Uppercase. So case IUCOM when FC1. I'll say F5. Yes, this when condition is satisfied. It will enter inside that. What you are trying to do here? We are activating the first tab, associating the subscreen 100, and we are telling SAP you search for this 100 subscreen in which program? In the current program. Okay, so I'll say F8. Done. That's all. I got the tab 1 with that associated subscreen. Again, if I click on this, what is the event triggered again? At selection screen. What is the function code of the second tab? FC2 will be captured in the system field what? SciUCom. So if you see SciUCom, FC2. So when I say F5 now, which when statement is satisfying? What is the current value of SciUCom? FC2. So control directly jumps to what? The second when statement. So when I say F5, directly the control is jumping to what? Appropriate when block. This logic gets executed. I'm activating the tab, associating the subscreen 200, which is available in the current program what? SciRepID. Done. That's it. So I got it. Right, so this is a way to design the selection screen tabbed block with the tab buttons, and this is a way to design the subscreens and associate those subscreens with the what? Tab buttons. And another point you have to focus is what are the properties of the tabbed block? 3 properties. What are they? Active tab, DYNR, and what? PROG. Since these are the properties of tabbed block, I must access it with the name of the tabbed block, which is TB1 here. Any questions? Please ask me. Okay, so I'll stop for today. See, I'll start the fresh topic from Monday. Monday onwards, I'll start with either internal tables or dictionary objects. So those who are joined the course late also, they can easily understand it is a completely independent topic. Understood? So whatever we discussed in the last 8 to 9 session, you can refer them in your free time. So what are the new topic we start from Monday? It's a fresh topic which is not dependent much on the previous topics. Okay, it's a completely different one. Okay, but practice these sessions also so that you'll have it what it be useful for you in the future sessions. Done? Any other questions? Please ask me. So next session again will be on what? Monday. No class tomorrow. Again we'll meet on Monday only around 6:30, 6:40. Chalo then. So if you don't have any questions, I'll wind off. We'll continue on Monday. Okay, but practice all these things. Monday onwards, we'll start with the new topics. Okay.